Hello and welcome everyone to the next Foreman community demo, 28th of July. How the year is flying by. We've got another reasonable show for you today. We've got quite a lot to talk about. As ever, you can join in live. You can hit up the Q&A app on the Google Plus stream if you're watching on the Google Plus event page. You can hit us on IRC at #theforeman on Freenode. You can ping me on Twitter. I'll try and keep an eye on that. So any of these things will work, and you can join in as we go through the show. So what have we got for you today? Well, we've got a few things to cover. We're going to cover 112. We're going to talk about our birthday. We've got a couple of presenters for you, and we've got some mentions from the Red Hat side as well. So I'm going to dive straight in, though. If you have been living under a rock for the last 2 weeks, or perhaps this is your one and only source of Foreman information, and you don't look at our mailing lists or website or anything, then you might not know that Foreman 112 was released on the 11th of July, which is over 2 weeks ago, so which means we've already had the .1 release as well, which comes with a couple of security fixes as well as quite a lot of bug fixes, .0 releases being what they are, even with our reputation for reliability. So do check them out. You can find all the details on the mailing list and on the website. All the announcements, etc., are there, and you can go and get yourself upgraded. Of course, if you really have missed the announcements, you'll also have missed that the big thing is that we now have full Puppet 4 support. So this is very, very exciting for the community as a whole. So that's all we can say about that, really. I've covered 112 in depth in previous episodes. I'm not going to go into that again. You can go and read all about it. So let's talk about something a little bit more fun. I'm going to talk about our birthday. So as I mentioned in the last demo, Foreman was 7 years old as of the 13th of July. And to celebrate this, along with our 112 release and the Puppet 4 support, we organized a series of birthday parties. And they're not all quite finished yet. I have one more to go, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But I thought I'd show you a couple of photos from the events that have happened. So there was, I gave a talk in Edinburgh. There was a Foreman meetup in Belgium. There was one in Nuremberg, which I was at. There was one in Tel Aviv, and there was one last night in Washington, D.C. So a few photos for you. So this is Ohad speaking in Tel Aviv last week. It doesn't show up very well, but you can just, I'm trying a new PDF viewer here, so I'm just going to draw on the screen. You can just see here, Monday, 13th of July, 2009. So indeed, 7 years old. So this is good. Oh, it's still in draw mode. I'm still figuring this one out. Some other photos. This was what some of the Red Hatters did to Ohad's desk on the 13th, which I thought was very nice. They waited for him to go into a meeting, and then they did that to his desk. Oh, apparently I've got some strange audio from one of our viewers in IRC. I hope it's settled down. Thanks very much, Coma. I don't think I can do much about it, sadly. Hopefully it improves. Probably just my terrible rural internet connection. On the right, we have Julien Pivotot, Roy de la Pluie, if you know him in IRC and on Twitter, a big Foreman user over in Belgium. So he was running the birthday party in Antwerp, which apparently was reasonably well attended. This was our group in Nuremberg last week. So there's the infamous Michael Moll at the back and Ewout, longtime community members, but quite a lot of new people as well. We had, I think, I was there, I took that photo. There's a few people you can't see in that photo as well, so I think we got maybe 15, 20 people in total. And quite a lot of new users, a lot of people who've only been using Foreman for sort of less than 6 months, which made for some really good, really interesting conversations through the day. So yeah, a bunch of photos for you there. Overall, what I've heard is that we've had in the region of 10 to 15 people at each of the meetups, except for my talk in Edinburgh, which was not a Foreman meetup. It was a more general tech event, so there are actually about 50 people there, but not many of them knew Foreman. Lots of good discussions, generally positive reaction. So hopefully we'll do something like this again in the future. And certainly if we can use this as a springboard to do more community events on a more sort of rolling basis, if people want to do sort of meetups and this kind of thing, I'm interested in working out how to support that. So do come and talk to me if you want to see more of this kind of thing in the future. So I'm going to talk a little bit about community updates. So downloads, unsurprisingly, with such a big release and with such a big feature with Puppet 4, the downloads are massively up in the last month. Something like 30% higher than normal. This is a bit of a vanity metric. I don't read too much into the downloads, as many of you will know, but it's nice to see. As always, lots of good testing of the release candidates. Thanks again to all the people who tested 1.12. It seems to have been a very good release. We've had good feedback on it. There's always bugs, of course, but it does seem pretty solid. So I'm also very happy to see that even in just a few days, we've had nearly 1,000 downloads of 12.1 as well, which is really, really good. The usual metrics in PRs, many more closed than opened. I still haven't managed to figure out why it is doing that. I actually went and looked on GitHub, and it does actually appear that these metrics are right. I just can't quite work out how we don't run out of PRs if we keep closing far more than we open. But I'll get to the bottom of it eventually. Sadly, I don't have any metrics for you on the mailing list this month. It seems my script is broken. Well, it's not broken, but it can't cope. The system doesn't have enough memory to pass them the massive mailing list, and so it hasn't actually updated the database since the 7th of July, which isn't much use because that's when the last demo was. What can you do? So sadly, I can't bring you any mailing list data, but my gut feeling is that the numbers haven't moved very much. So again, it's going to be in the region of 20% unanswered posts and about 40% user support. So no real movement there. And typical numbers in Redmine. So a little bit up on bugs opened and closed. It's been a bit more active. You get that around a release. Not a lot else to say. New slide for you this time. Thought I'd talk a little bit about plugins. Don't take these numbers too seriously because, again, they are download metrics. These are coming from our HTTP logs. But I thought it might be interesting just to show you what's popular. So if you don't know, we ship a few of these in the installer. So this is why setup is very popular, because Foreman setup comes with the Foreman installer. So that's pretty much why that one's at the top. But it's interesting to see what else is in there. Docker discovery is no surprise, I think, to anyone. But I wasn't expecting to see Zen quite so high up, which I thought was quite interesting. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. So Stephen's asking me if I have stats for the less popular plugins. Yes, I have a complete table of this that I can publish if you like. I think if you're asking, I know you write the Salt plugin, Stephen, so just to let you know, it just missed. It's like the next one off the bottom of the slide. Yeah, I can publish this to the mailing list if people are interested in seeing that. Again, as I say, don't take the absolute numbers with too much seriousness, because HTTP logs are notoriously unreliable. You can't really filter out mirroring. The user agent strings are the same for a range of different clients and tools and so on. So it's difficult to really get accurate numbers, but what you can get is a trend, and you can get which one's more popular than the other one, because all these numbers are generated from the same methodology. So as Stephen rightly points out, I'll try and get that published up somewhere. It's interesting to see. But I'm very happy to see Discovery and Remote Execution on there, because they're both fantastic plugins, in my opinion. Oh, hello. So let's move on. We should have Lukasz at this point, but Lukasz hasn't joined the demo, which was very nice of him, because he's a big piece of my content today. I don't know where he's gone. He was on IRC 20 minutes ago, and he's disappeared. Hopefully, somebody is going to go and call him, who's got his number, and tell him to come and join. But I don't have his phone number, so I can't call him. So we're going to jump forwards, and we're going to go and talk to Ivan, who's going to tell us a bit about what's going on in the Danfo and Foreman tasks world. Ivan, how you doing?
Hello. I will try sharing my screen. It's been a while since I was doing the demo last time, so I'll try to not screw up too much. So yeah, and it's been a while since we were talking about Danfo and the related stuff, so I thought that it's a good time to bring the awareness of that, because we are not sleeping. We are preparing for more work and more support that we can deliver in Foreman, Cattle, and all the plugins that are already using that. So today I will be talking about ability to filter the inputs that are part of the Danfo actions. So for those of you that don't know Danfo at all, it's a way how to, or it's a tool for supporting orchestration and asynchronous tasks that we use in several plugins, and it has very, I think, nice features that are worth looking at. And one of the features that we added this time was ability to not show everything that we serialize for orchestration. So when some Danfo execution plan or Foreman task is running, we first need to serialize the data for the execution, and then we run it in separate process. So all the data that we need for the process, we need to save. And some of these data can be, let's say, not or should not be public or are sensitive. So in this case, or in this example, I've serialized username and password, as part of that, because let's say I need that for the remote execution that we don't do right now, but this will change soon. So we will have the ability to use username and password for remote execution. So as part of this, we want to make sure that these data are not shown in clear text when it should not be, basically always, but we still need the data just to perform the actions itself. So what we added is the support for ability to filter this data out, and I will show you how it works pretty quickly. I don't have the actual feature right now using that, but we have already use cases for that, and that's why we did that. So when I go to my action that actually produces the sensitive data, it's this one, and it's here's just serialized, but it's for proving what's going on. So we have ability in Danfo to use middleware in actions, which means extending the functionality with something, some additional logic, and we added a way to extend the way we present the things by the present middleware. So I wrote a simple hide password middleware that's in the present phase, which is what we show in the Danfo console or in the Foreman task details. This gets called, and we have ability to kind of alter the action or the data in the action that actually are shown to the user. So in this case, I take the action and I set the password instead of the change that I have here to few asterisks. So that's all I need to do, and I just uncomment this line so that the middleware is actually used, and I should be able to refresh the page, and when I go back to the details, you can see that the password is no longer shown. That also means so let's say I will use the Foreman tasks details for showing the details or the data as well. So even here, you can see that the password is now hidden. So there should be no way from the user UI to get to this data. And even more, we have that also support in exporting. So for those of you that don't know, Foreman task is able to produce the exports for the tasks that were performed, and this is useful for debugging. And let me just remove my alt logs. And when I show what's in this export, you will see that even here, the filter was applied. So we need to use the middleware here because we have multiple ways how to present the data, and we want to make sure that all these places the filters are applied. And so for those of you that use this feature for their use cases, just be aware of this, because you can now use that. So that's basically what I wanted to show today. In future demo, I expect more Danfo work to be shown. One of them will be improved exports, so we will have exports to JSON, also exports directly from the Danfo console, exports for subtasks, and so on. And we also started with support for rollbacking. That might be some work to show there as well, but that's for another talk. So that's all I have today.
Cool, thanks very much, Ivan. I don't see any questions for you just now. Just going to have a quick look, see what's going on around the various parts of the community. So many things to keep track of these days. But no, it seems pretty quiet. Very cool feature though. It's always good to see that sort of thing being thought about. A very easy thing to miss when you're working with command line tools. So hang around. We'll see if any questions turn up for you. In the meantime, I'm happy to say that Lukasz has finally joined us, which just in time. Well done, Lukasz. And we're gonna move on to talk about that. So Lukasz, the title, the clue's in the title, right? What's new in Discovery 6? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, cool. I apologize for being late, but I'm here to talk about Discovery 6.0. So I've got some numbers for you, Greg. But first of all, status, the current status. I hope you guys can show my screen, and it's online. And so we have a couple of releases. 5.0 is the current stable version, which works. It was designed for 1.11, but it does work fine with 1.12, which has been released already. There are a couple of small bugs here and there that allowed us to carry on with the development a little bit more. So we are weeks behind, and I'm happy to announce that 6.0 is ready for release. I'll do the release next week, so beginning month, I guess. So 5.0 is working with 1.12, except, for example, Pixila's discovery mode is a little bit broken due to changes in core. This will be fixed, of course. And what I'll be talking about now has been merged in develop branch. But we'll do the release, as I've said, next week. We'll do just release without RCs, just following the 5 and 4 versions. And if there are bugs, if there are bugs appears, and then we'll go ahead and fix that with a minor version. So the numbers. This is an awesome release. We have almost 40 commits. What's interesting in it is the biggest number ever. We have 9 contributors, spread from all around the world, from our community and the core team. So thank you all. So I'll be presenting a lot of new features and bug fixes, contributed by others. So credit goes to these people, and the names are sorted alphabetically. So no particular order. Thank you all. So let's put an eye on features, new features which are appearing in 6.0. The first one is the most noticeable one is new model wizard. So we have a new dialog. If you click on provision on the Discovered host page, you'll see a model dialog that will let you select the host group and organizational location, and from there you can click on the create host, the blue button on the right side, and it will take you on the new provision host. That is technically provisioning a discovery host is technically an edit host form, and there are some technical limitations, and this wizard helps to avoid some bugs we've seen in past. Around taxonomy, and the organizational location fields are not editable at that form, and the plugin, it's hard for plugin to change that. So until we change that in core, or maybe change the way we provision discovered host, we have this dialog. You can also set host group, because we found that most discovery users usually set a host group, and then from there they click on provision button. So there is this new nice button on the left side, in the middle. I mean, that's quick create. If you click on that, you obviously you just create the host. You trigger provisioning for that discovered host associated with the host group and location organization you've selected there. So basically, you can skip the provisioning the edit host form completely with this dialog, but it also allows you to change taxonomy prior visiting the edit host group dialog. Another new feature, again contributed by our community. I guess I wrote this myself. I apologize. Anyway, it's clean all facts. So in Discovery, I think it was 4. We introduced. I think this was when I was working on.
Could you zoom in a little bit? I think it's just a touch small.
Oh, it's a picture. I don't think. I apologize, but it's a setting strings.
No,
setting strings. So the settings we are looking for is the clean all facts, and so back in the 0.40 version time, we started to clean all the facts during the discovery process. The idea was to start with the clean table until I'm sorry. until the first Puppet fact report, right? But it turned out that some users want to use discovered facts because these are available facts about the system in provisioning templates, in other things, and so we started to clean only the some facts, those that doesn't start with discovery underscore. And then it turned out that it's a good idea to basically, not to clean any facts at all, because they will be cleaned during the first, initial Puppet fact, fact report. So they will be replaced, like the factor importer will delete those which are missing and keep those which are still there. So the new flag clean all facts is set by default to no. So by default, it doesn't, clean the facts at all. If you want to, retain the old behavior, like for security reasons or what, I'm not sure why, you can flip this to yes, but Discovery will still keep all the facts starting with discovery underscore. This is needed for kexec to work because we are passing some static information about network and stuff like that. Another feature, I just changed a slide if you haven't noticed, is this was contributed by our community. It's lock discovered host feature. So the use case is here. If you have a discovered host, and if you flip on the lockpixc, you can't see it, but it's lockpixc setting, yes, no, and there's a locked template name. It's by default it's pixlinux underscore discovery, and we now ship this kind of template. You can edit that if you want to clone and edit, if you prefer. The moment discovered host a node is discovered, it will, and if there is a subnet associated with that host that has a TFTP feature turned on, our orchestration engine will render the TFTP pixlinux discovery template for that particular host, for that particular MAC address. So this will make sure that anytime you restart this host, it will be rediscovered. So I'm not sure what the use case is, but the feature is there. If you want to use it, just turn it on. It's turned off by default. We had a bug when you visited the discovery rules. This was in the user interface. The discovery rules were not ordered correctly by the priority. It was ordered by, I think, name. So this was now fixed because the priority is the most important one. Another small change, the help screen, the pop-up dialog for the hostname flag or hostname field for the discovery rule has been fixed. It was like running out of the screen. And I think last feature I want to show in more detail is missing permissions. This one is important. We found that when you're not working as a super administrator, when you're working as a discovery reader or discovery manager, or you create a role and you assign permissions yourself, if you don't have some particular view permissions like view operating system, view host groups, and we have been missing some few more others like architectures and domains and subnets, provisioning process is not possible. and also some other things were not possible. So we fixed that. But in 6.0 there is a migration that will add these missing permissions into the Discovery Reader and Discovery Manager. So big warning, I'll mention that in the README notes that if you don't want to do that after upgrade, you need to remove those permissions yourself. But then you won't be able to discover discovery process works, but the provisioning process might fail at some point. So beware that we extended the standard discovery roles for new installations. It's no change, right? And the last thing that was merged, I think yesterday, thanks to Daniel, thank you. It's Pixila's Discovery full support for Debian operating system families. So until until now, we tested, or I tested the Pixila's Discovery with Red Hat systems. And this patch adds necessary Debian kexec template. So if you I think after upgrade it should show up. If not, you can copy and paste it from our Git repo, I guess, or I need to provide that to the community templates. Perhaps that's a good point. But anyway, if you associate it with the Debian system, it will work as expected, including the static configuration in the DHCP-less environments. Other noticeable changes: if you had an existing discovered host and it changed some important thing like IP address, it failed. But now it updates existing discovered hosts correctly. We've added a no mode set to the kexec template, so this forces the system to run in the standard 8025 text mode, which the VESA extended modes were problematic when you've been kexecing, so this fixes that. Discovery email reporting was broken. I think this is another thing that is doesn't work with 5.0, doesn't work with 1.12. That's the email reporting that has been fixed. And API was included with taxonomy. And also handling that if you had a taxonomy, the organization location, a sub-organization, a sub-location, it was not a discovery. Process was not setting these organizational locations properly. So this is now fixed. And auto provisioning was not correctly populating host group in some cases, and some small changes here and there. Quickly through the list. I hope you guys can read it. But the last one is the rules. Our auto provisioning rule processing was actually processing in incorrect order. We have noticed that, and our tests were, testing like 1 or 2 cases. But we had a report from our community member, and we fixed that. So now the priority is taken into account correctly. Okay, so the 6.0, which is coming out next week, will be compatible on 1.12, and you can use the Discovery Image 3.1 with it. It's fully compatible. There are no changes. We'll be releasing out a new release 3.2 perhaps. There are 3 noticeable changes. The DHCP timeout fix. There are some reports by our users that the typical timeout, DHCP timeout for Network Manager in RHEL is 45 seconds, and you can't change that. It's a fixed setting. But there's been a feature request, and it's coming into RHEL 3.7.3 that you'll be able to set up this setting in Network Manager, and we'll take advantage of that. But until we rebase our image on CentOS 7.3, it won't be effective, of course. But the patch is there. I think it's being merged, so you can expect that to be working. And we had a lot of this was a long story, but to put it short, in virtualized systems, when you sorry, when you discovered in a Pixelas mode a system and that had some KMS drivers, so usually if you select the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7, the hypervisor will set up some kind of drivers, those with the OpenGL support and 3D and stuff like that. And if you kexec that into an older system like Debian, some old Debian or RHEL6 even, it didn't work though. So the screen was frozen. So we tracked down it with the help of the Red Hat RHEL over, I think it was a Rev team who helped us, and there will be a couple of changes, blacklisting those drivers, and we will force this camera image to use the standard VGA driver, whatever this is called, and it will work out. So this is a noticeable change coming into the discovery image. So if you absolutely need that, check the pull request, and you can make the page small. And the last one, a security issue, we have a CVE for that, but it's a low score. If you explicitly set the root password for debugging, either interactively in the discovered text user interface or via the kernel command line to some password, it sends to the journal. That's my fault. I apologize for that. But the journal is on the discovered host only, so we'll fix that in the next release as well. And the last thing I want to mention is internalization. The strings are ready for translation. I've uploaded them, I think, on Monday, Tuesday. So if you translator, go ahead. There are a couple of changes there, and we'll be pulling those translations next week before the release. Thank you very much. And questions time.
My goodness, what a lot of changes! Well done to. I'll add my congratulations to everybody involved, and thanks to all the contributors. It's great to see discovery being, as the guy who wrote this hacky little thing 4 years ago that has turned into this amazing plugin thanks to a lot of other people's hard work. It's very good to see. We do have one question from Coma on IRC, who has asked if. I've lost the question. It's gone. Here it is. He wants to know, maybe she wants to know if you support VLAN configuration for the default interfaces when you're in discovery. So I guess the question is, can you discover on a VLAN?
Yeah, good question. And the initial pull request is pending review in the discovery image Git repo. It's a very basic one. You can only set one VLAN for one particular interface, I guess. So it's ready for comments. Please go ahead and find it and make your comments there. And then if it hits 3.2, I know I can't tell, but hopefully it will be there. So yeah, the patch is pending. I'm not sure if we need a change in Discovery plugin itself. I'd need to think about it, but we'll definitely test that if that works. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, if you, I'll get the URL from you, Lukasz, and I'll make sure that goes in the show notes as well, so sure, that viewers can find it. Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions for you just now. I'm just slightly stunned by the quantity of changes there to formulate any questions of my own. That is a huge list. Although I can, I think, give you the use case for the lock into discovery. You said you weren't sure of the use case for the locking a host into discovery mode. I think the idea here is where you don't have control of the network, or at least there are machines on the network that you don't necessarily want to boot into discovery, even though you can't put them in Foreman. So, for example, I'm gonna contrive an example. If you have a printer that can PXE, right? So you don't want to you can't really put that in Foreman, but you don't exactly want it booting the discovery image either. So you leave the default as local boot, but you lock your discovered hosts into the discovery system so that you can re-provision them. I think nice. That's the idea. Having spoken to the community about it, but maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, that's cool. That's a ton of changes. Really excited about that. Okay, well, with that, we're gonna wrap up. We've got some closing notes that I'm gonna just cover. So the main one, I apologize, I forgot to put a slide in for this. But if you're on the dev list, you'll have seen this already, but not that many people are. So I will relay the information. Yesterday, Satellite 6.2 was released, and Brian Kearney put out an email thanking everybody for their contributions of all forms It's it's a collaboration between the community and Red Hat, and everyone benefits from that. So he sends on his thanks to everybody for all of their involvement in Foreman and in Catello, and the result of that is, at least from his perspective, a successful 6.2 launch. So that's great. I also want to mention there is another birthday event which is not yet on the calendar. I'm waiting to confirm a speaker before I add it to the calendar, but there is going to be a Foreman speaker at the next Raleigh Puppet user group on the 10th of August. So if you're in Raleigh and you want to come and learn a bit more about Foreman or chat with some devs, we're going to have some people there and hopefully some swag as well, and you can come along and find out a bit more. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks to everyone for watching. I was watching the metrics, and I think this is the first time I remember seeing 20 concurrent viewers. So the Hangouts tells you how many people are watching, and I don't think I've seen it go above 20 before. I think it hit 21. So we're growing, clearly. Thanks to everyone who's joined in today and asked questions and watched and consumed the demo. It makes it worthwhile. If you did enjoy today's video, please leave a +1. Lets me know that you're enjoying it. If you want to know about what's coming up, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can obviously follow us on Twitter, where I tend to announce everything that's going on. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and do take care.